Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 59 of the GrowCast show. And today with me in the studio, I have Maxwell Nee, and he is the Chief Revenue Officer of ScoreApp. And I'm so excited to have him today. I met him recently at the Singapore Asia Business Show, and he was excited to come on the GrowCast show as well. Max, how are you feeling today?
Really good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very nice. And as you can see right in front of him, we've got all the Scorecard Marketing app books as well. So we're going to be diving deep into Scorecard Marketing. But before that, I always like to start with my favorite question, which is, Max, what does being better than normal mean to you?
Oh, it's a good question. So I think that if you follow traditional methods of schooling, a lot of people don't achieve because it's designed in a very, very specific way. So for me, better than normal is achieving the way that you're meant to achieve. And that might not be in traditional methods, or at least I know that's true for me. So it's a bit like you have if you judge, it's a really stupid example, but if you judge a fish by how well it climbs a tree instead of how well it swims, then, you're going to get an obvious result. So I think it's about really finding your lane and then excelling in your lane, which might not be the traditional, get good grades in school, university, become a doctor type of thing.
Very nice. I love that. And for yourself, Max, what would you say that makes you better than normal?
I personally love challenges. I love challenges because I just love, I love growth. I love growth. I love stretching myself. I love expanding myself. I almost get sad when I've achieved something. I enjoy setting the goal and enjoy the climb much more than I enjoy, reaching the mountaintop.
And how do you feel when you say you feel sad when you reach the mountaintop, right? So do you feel like gratitude, contentment, or are you the type that, that's always looking for the next goal because, you're doing so many things, right? So when you say you feel sad, what does that sad look like for you?
Yeah, so when I say sad, I mean like I love solving puzzles, right? And I love the moment where you're figuring something out and you're in that intellectual stimulation, but as soon as you've solved it, it becomes boring. So I do this in my businesses as well. Like as soon as things get easy and boring, I lose interest. When some people, they want it to get boring because then that's when it gets easier.
Makes sense. I mean, it's you love the game essentially.
I love the game. I love playing the game. I don't need the medal or the gold medal or the trophy. I just love being in the sport. Yeah.
Nice. And I would like to start at the beginning, Max, and I mean the real beginning. So tell us about your growing up years and how that shaped your character.
Yeah. So I never got good grades in school. And the teachers told me that if I tried harder, I'd get better grades, but I just wasn't interested, so I was very fortunate that my parents were a combination of not that present as well as just accepting. They're just like, you'll find your way type of thing. So by the time I got to university, I didn't get good grades in school. I had to learn how to get, a good job using lateral thinking. So basically I had to network. So my first corporate job, I was rejected about 37 times. I applied 37 times for this job. I networked with everyone. I had like this whole floor. There was like 80 people on the floor. I bought everyone coffee by the end of it, and I'd pay for all those coffees. And that's a lot of money for a poor uni student. So I just hustled and just kept pushing my foot in that door until one of them, gave me a very, very junior role. And then from then I got 3 promotions in 5 years.
Amazing. And for yourself, is there any defining moment or memory from your childhood that comes to your mind, be it good, be it bad, that you feel, had an impact on your mindset when you were growing up?
I remember when I was about 9 years old, I didn't get the grades that I knew that I would be happy with. Like I felt sad about them. And then I remember thinking to myself, wow, I feel trapped. Like either I push myself into a box where I have to get the grades that I've predetermined that I'm happy with, or I'm always going to feel sad. So then I thought, well, there has to be door number 3, So then I just thought, okay, well, what if I was okay to fail, so to speak? Like what if I was okay to not be this idea of perfect that I was putting so much pressure on myself to be? And then all of a sudden, like this hot, like negative feeling of like remorse just released off the back of my neck and just evaporated. And I thought, wow, so I learned to accept, I don't want to say failure, but I learned to accept, stumbling over in that moment.
And that was when you were 9 years old.
Yeah, I was 9 years old.
I mean, that the feeling to have that when you were 9 must have felt really good for you.
Yeah.
And do you feel though that you are the same person now as compared to when you were a child, or do you feel you've changed?
I think that if you're someone that loves growth, you pretty much recreate yourself like every 6 months. I think that, if you talk to any of my friends or people that have known me for a long period of time, every time they meet me, they'll meet a different version of me. Yeah.
And when you say a different version of you, is that more like because your mindset has changed, or is it because, the character wise, or do you feel that character also
I think
something
everything
that evolves?
Everything, mindset, character, personal interests, everything. I think that I love recreating myself because, if you want to keep growing, then you need to keep breaking through the shell, over and over and over again.
Nice. And did you have anybody that you looked up to as a mentor when you were growing up, or who would you say was your very first mentor?
No, so I never had any. I always just like figured it out, and I followed the advice of people who, didn't, because I think a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is that they might take advice from their best friend or like their parents or their ex-boss, when you should be taking the advice of someone who has achieved what you want to achieve. It's like the classic Warren Buffett thing. Warren Buffett says, never go to a Wall Street financial planner for financial planning advice. Why don't you talk to someone that has more money than you instead of less money than you, right? That makes sense. So I did that a lot. I've definitely done that a lot, where I've taken advice from people that didn't have the credibility that they should have had to give me that type of advice, and that was my mistake. So learning that's definitely made an impact.
Yeah, I like what you said. So I've heard this quote which says that I live by that as well, which is don't take advice from someone that you're not willing to trade places with.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, because whether it's relationship advice, whether it's health advice, whether it's wealth advice, don't take advice from someone that you're not willing to trade places with. And I think that's something that summarizes what you said as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that it could simplify your life, and it helps you to be choosy. As an entrepreneur, my biggest weakness, or one of them, is that I could get distracted on something that doesn't serve me. I could really jump into something that doesn't serve me instead of thinking it through and planning and working out, what's the best way to do this. Yeah.
Do you feel though that mentors actually have a purpose or a plan in somebody's life? Like for yourself, who would you consider, whether growing up or now, who would you consider as your very first mentor?
I have a few. One of them is the author of this book, Daniel Priestley. And then, I paid for a lot of mentorship. I probably spent, between 5 to 6 figures on mentorship and that type of thing. Because as soon as you learn how much faster you can move by just paying the money to the right person and getting them to give you the shortcuts, so to speak, or the proven methods, it's addictive. It's addictive to know that you could grow that much faster just by paying some money. So Daniel's one of them. One of my really good friends, Ryan Matthew, is another one. They're two very different types of mentors. Roger Hamilton, who most people know. I've been in one of his programs before. So yeah, and what you'll find as well is that all of these people, like Daniel, Roger, like they're all a little bit older than me. They've all worked together, and then they've done stuff together 10 years before I did stuff with them. So it's no secret that the top of the pyramid are all connected somehow, because they've all got the same mindset, right, of accelerating your position through mentorship.
True, very nice. I agree with you. I learned a lot from Daniel myself. Like I think when I met you the first time, I told you I've read all his books. I follow every single video that comes out. He's one of the Key Person of Influence channel is one of the few where I have my notification on. So whenever a new video comes out, I'm one of the first few to actually watch it as well. But not everybody believes that you should pay for mentorship, right? And I'm sure you have been a mentor as well and a coach yourself, right? So what would you say to entrepreneurs who don't believe in paying for mentorship?
Yeah, so there's a natural skepticism, right? Because there's a lot of thoughts that go through your head, which is, if this person has all these secrets, why would they give them to me, right? If this person knows so much, why are they wasting their time helping someone like me, right? And all that type of stuff, and those are very valid. But the first course I bought, I was so scared. Like, I was very, very scared. I don't know why, but there was a genuine fear that I was buying into a scam, and I felt like I hadn't even paid yet, and I already felt embarrassed that I was buying into a scam. So I think a lot of people go through that. And then, I paid for it, and then I actually messaged some of the testimonials that were on the website. I found them on LinkedIn. I said, hey, look, can I have a call? I just want to know, is this real, and that type of thing. They said, yeah, it is. I said, you've got to try it. But it only works if you work it, right? So that's the thing. And sometimes people can think something isn't worth it, but they haven't actually taken the actions, right? So, it's mentorship isn't a magic pill. It's a map, but you still have to do the walking, right? Like, if giving you the map, you still have to do the walking. So for people that are scared to do it, then I would say just start small, buy $100 worth of mentorship instead of 10,000, right? And then work your way up as you get more comfortable.
Makes sense. I like what you said about the map, and you still have to walk it yourself. And since you were talking about entrepreneurship, and you also talked about how you had to buy 80 coffee. So how did you transform, or how did you transition from the corporate life to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, through a lot of pain. So I was in a banking position, really high paid position. I was like the youngest high paid person in that position in the state that I was living in Australia. And, one day I walked into work and I saw my boss and his boss and his boss, like, just sitting in a row next to each other. And I remember thinking, wow, they all look so unhappy. And number two, I don't want any of their jobs. So then the third thought was, what the hell am I doing here? And then it was like, in that moment, I decided, okay, I need to get out of here because, this isn't making me happy anymore. And if I don't do something about that, then I'm purposely making myself unhappy. Yeah.
And how did that realization come to you? Because I know it's like that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And there's so many people who feel the same way that you do as well. But did you already have a plan when you were about to leave, when you had that realization? Did you know what you were going to do after your corporate life?
No, zero. Zero. So that isn't because, I enjoy taking that much risk in life. Like, I would have much rather planned it properly, but it was like the train had just crashed. And all of a sudden I woke up and I was thinking, wow, I'm so unhappy. And I've actually been unhappy for a really long time, but I just realized it, and it all came crashing down.
How old were you at that point of time?
Maybe like 22 or 23.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 23, I think. Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about what happened after you had that realization, and how did you transition into entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I had a realization. Then I started planning my exit. So I said, okay, I don't just want to quit my job. I also want to leave Australia. So then that was about 7-8 years ago. I decided to leave Australia. I moved to Canada at the time. So I decided to quit, and I planned my quitting dates. But then I planned that probably like 6 months, in the future, because I needed about 6 months to get the visa for Canada. Yeah.
Okay.
But if it could have been sooner, it would have been sooner.
Okay.
Yeah. But I needed to have a job when I applied for the visa for Canada, so I couldn't quit.
Okay.
For visa reasons. But I wanted to.
Okay. Yeah. And how moving from Australia to Canada, that itself must have been a challenge by itself. Moving into a new place for a young guy at 23.
That's why I wanted to do it. So I realized, okay, I'm really unhappy here. I need to shake things up. I need to make myself uncomfortable. So I picked a place in the world. I had no friends, no job, no place to stay, different climate. I'd never seen snow before. And, they speak French there, almost as much as they speak English, type of thing. So I wanted a total sea change to check out my life and stimulate more growth.
And so Canada also was still in a corporate job that you were in?
No. So I left Canada. I left Australia, went to Canada with no job, no plan, no nothing.
Okay.
And then I said I found a job in like a startup, like a financial startup. I used to work in banking. I said, okay, maybe this will make me happy, And this job was like what you see when you think of a startup. It was in a co-working space. People were walking around barefoot. There's fake grass everywhere. There's free food. There's bean bags. There's hot dog day. There's free coffee. You start work whenever you want. You don't wear a suit and tie. I'd worn a suit and tie for like 5 years. And I went in for like half a week and I still thought, wow, I'm still unhappy. I said, okay, well, now I can't avoid it anymore. I need to go all in and actually try to build my own thing from the ground up, and just give it a shot.
And what was the first business that you started for yourself?
So this is when I bought my first mentoring. So I bought a $2,000 course that showed you how to be a digital marketing consultant. And I did that. And then I just did that course 17 hours a day. It was an 8-week course. I did it in 5 weeks.
Who was the course about, if you don't mind me asking?
Sam Ovens.
Okay,
was the maker of the course. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I landed my first client in about 5 weeks, and I thought, holy crap, like I did it. So if I just repeat that process.
And the first client paid up for the $2,000 that you had invested?
The first client paid $1,500.
Okay.
So like 75%.
Almost break even?
Yeah. But that was in, 5 weeks. And I thought, okay, if I do that, 100 more times, then I'm there, right? So that was like a huge game changer, because, you don't really, like, you hear about people being entrepreneurs and stuff, but you doubt yourself, right? And you don't believe that you can do it until you just jump in and do it.
And how did that digital marketing business grow for you, and what did it evolve into? Because I know you were involved in quite a few things after that as well.
Yeah, so digital marketing is very broad. Like the digital marketing that you provide, basically providing Facebook ads, is very different if you're doing it for an e-commerce brand, a chiropractor, a dentist, bubble tea store, restaurant. Like it's completely different. So I jumped through about 13 different niches, and then I eventually landed in coaching. So I was helping life, business, executive, health, wealth, spiritual coaches build their business online.
This is after going through the hoops of 13 different
so
niches.
This is like niche number 14.
This niche number 14.
Right?
Okay.
Niche number 14. And then I met some business partners who had the same vision as I did. And then the digital marketing business then evolved into a course selling business, because we quickly realized that, digital marketing has its limits in the service industry. Like it's very, very hard to scale a digital marketing agency that's done for you. Like it's very difficult. Like the guys that have done more than $10-20 million a year, they have to be operational and systematized geniuses. Like they're absolutely geniuses. And I don't have that. So we created a productized service where we charge different ranges. We had 3 different products, basically. So like $1,000 US, $5,000, $10,000. And we were selling done with you courses, that were about 3 months. And then we were selling that to coaches all over the world.
What do you, and which year was this when you went into the coaching space?
Yeah, so we really started to focus on this in 2019. Mm-hmm. We went from, like, we didn't make any money for like the first 2-3 months in the niche, but we're like, we were determined to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Then when we started to figure it out, we were doing about $250,000 a month in the first 22 months, right? And we hit our first 100K month in about month 14.
Okay.
So, and that's from zero. And at its highest point, we were doing a bit over $2 million a year, had like 23 team members, totally remote, hadn't met 80-90% of them before, 6-person sales team, 9-10 people in operations and customer service, and we have 1,000 clients. And 200 5-star Google reviews. 2 years ago, we won 6 awards for that business, and then I got bored, and then I exited. And then my business partners kept building the business.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why I asked about when was this was because since 2019 was pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and everything changed for lots of businesses, I'm guessing. Would you say if 2 years means at the peak of the business, would it have been during the COVID?
Yeah, so peaked in COVID. Our business peaked in COVID.
Because a lot of online businesses peaked during that COVID time as well.
Yeah.
And how do you feel the digital marketing landscape has changed? Because for myself, I run a digital marketing agency as well, just started. GrowCast show is, a video podcast. I like to call it a video podcast and AI marketing agency.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that the landscape has changed? Because obviously the barrier to entry in the digital marketing world is so low. You don't need to have any certification. You just need to have results.
Yeah.
How do you feel that the digital marketing or agency landscape has changed from the time?
Yeah, well, even in the time that I was doing it, almost 10 years ago now when I first started, it changes every 6 months, and it keeps changing every 6 months, right? Like ChatGPT before and after, TikTok being banned in the US before and after. Like it keeps changing and it's always going to keep changing. And me personally, I don't like that. So that's also why I wanted to move away from that service-based business, because it was starting to exhaust me, constantly having to fix like Facebook ads and things like that. So the people that do it long term, they must really love it, Yeah.
So when you're doing the coaching business, were you still doing the marketing side of the coaching business, or was it totally a new, like you had let go of the digital marketing side and you were now all into the coaching, the done with you coaching to grow the coaching business?
Yeah, I was all in. Yeah. So my business evolved into from done for you to done with you.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say was the main difference in your mindset when that happened? Did you feel relief? Did you feel the impact that you were making? Because obviously if you had, like you said, 1,000 clients, the impacts that you saw, you would have definitely made a huge impact in the lives of every single client that you were.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there was a difference in mindset. Always wanted to help people, always wanted to help people get out there. I think that we had just found, like, anyone can make any business work. I really believe that. It's just about, your personality and what works well for you. So some people like to be front of stage, to do podcasts, like things like this. Some people like to tinker in the background. And, based on your preferences or what your strengths and weaknesses are, you will find a particular business model, scratches the itch for you in the right way.
And which one would you say is your type? Because even for me, when I started Better Than Normal with my cousin Hitesh, I was always the guy in the background until very recently, like 10 months ago, when I had my first daughter. So she was the one that made me want to come out and put my face out there for myself. For yourself, which one are you more of? Are you more of the behind the scenes, or are you more of the front of the scenes? Which one suits your style?
Yes, I'm agnostic. I just care about being as effective as possible. So, I'm a bit versatile. I'm a bit like a Swiss Army knife. So if you want to put me as a striker, if that is what is going to serve the team, then I'll do that. Midfield, if that serves the team, I'll do that. If you want me as a goalkeeper, if that serves the team, I'll do that. So I don't mind either or.
So that means you must have all the skill sets as well, right? To be able to be
in
those positions.
I've had to learn them. Yeah, definitely. So my last role, I did, CEO, CMO, COO, CFO.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then
all at the same time.
All at the same time.
Yeah. Because my business partners, they would only do bits and pieces.
Okay.
So when one of them had to, took 2 weeks off, then I would jump in. Mm-hmm. Right. So I was really like a Swiss Army knife.
Okay. And then at this point of time was when you were there for 2 years, and then you said that's when you transitioned out of it because you wanted to do something else. So you sold your shares to your business partner. And then what was the next phase for you after that?
Yeah, so I, tried a few different things, and then I decided, like, the world of like investing plus scaling businesses, like private equity, where you invest money in a business, use money to help scale it, and then you sell parts of the business, had always been very seductive to me, and that was, but I didn't have any working experience in that. So I found some new business partners about 2 years ago who are in that sort of private equity investment banking space, and we've been working together ever since. So now, I'm a founding shareholder of a farming company in Australia, and we grow industrial hemp, which is not marijuana. It's industrial hemp, so there's no drugs in it, and it grows pretty fast like a bamboo tree. And I love that because I said, okay, I've done a business where it's an agency, and an agency business, it's very human intensive. Like, it's like running a podcast. You're providing a service, so it's always going to take some of your time. Like, you can't really totally automate it if, you're doing all the sales and everything, or it takes a really long time. Or you really got to have a secret edge that your competitors don't have. And I didn't have any of those things. So I said, okay, now I want to own a business that I could describe in 5 words. So the 5 words are simple, predictable, repeatable, sustainable, and scalable. And, so we landed in agriculture and farming, and, I really enjoy scaling and growing that business.
So that is when I know you're also doing the wine and whiskey investments as well. And was that something that was part of, the investment process, investment thesis?
So that was like my step into. So I personally invest a lot of money in wine and whiskey. So I thought, okay, well, why don't I help to grow this business in Asia Pacific? And it sort of hit a ceiling pretty quickly. I said, okay, well, this isn't it. So then I moved into private equity.
Okay. And how does someone who has got some funds, how does someone get started in private equity?
With mentors. So private equity, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You don't have a lot of money compared to the private equity market, right? So it's very easy to throw money away. Like you could throw $100 million away in private equity. You could throw $1 million. You could throw $100K away, right? You could throw $1 billion away.
Yeah.
Now, because money can go so quickly in that industry, I knew I needed a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I didn't find these business partners, I would be doing something else, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you end up at Scorecard Marketing? How did you end up at Scorecard? So how I know that ScoreApp was something that is close to you as well. Were you also an angel investor in ScoreApp when it was starting out as well? Maybe you could share a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So, this book is for ScoreApp, which is a SaaS product that I invested in 2020. So this is one of the tools that we use to scale up our coaching business. And we used to get like $5 leads with this business in about 2020, 2021. And that was before we knew ScoreApp existed. So we had Frankenstein, our own scorecard using Google Sheets, Zapier, and landing pages and Typeform. But then Dan sent me a message saying, hey, look, I'm making a SaaS product which puts quiz marketing into a product that you could buy for $50 a month.
So this was when you were already in Dan's world in the coaching side.
Yeah. So we had already worked. I'd already bought some coaching from him at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how he told you that he's implementing that into.
Yeah. So he said he's working on this product, which had less than 1,000 users at that point. Now it's got more than 6,000. And then I said, I see it. I know it works because we do it right now. And I said, can I invest? And he said, yes. So I invested. And then I then distributed it to my network of clients, and they all picked it up, mainly because we use it and we could talk very authentically about it. And it's worked for them and everyone ever since. And now it's got, 6 times more clients.
If you could share a little bit about what exactly is Scorecard Marketing all about?
Yeah. So Scorecard Marketing is a personalized marketing funnel that you could use for your business that creates a 2-way value exchange, right? So if you want someone to give you your their name, email, and phone number and some information about them, then you need to give them something pretty valuable or create like a game or something that makes them want to exchange that. So what ScoreApp does is that it gives them a personalized report or scorecard based on your business so that you can exchange that for their information. So I'll give you an example. So if anyone's ever done a personality quiz, that was a Scorecard Marketing exchange. Personality quiz was typically, doesn't matter which one you're talking about, 16 personalities, Myers-Briggs or whatever. Those were developed by university or research institutions. And in exchange for you using their quiz and you getting that personalized report on yourself, that research institution takes your information, documents it, and then uses it to further progress their research, right? But that's in the fine print that no one reads. Another example, which is a bit more commercial, is, for example, like a personal trainer will use a scorecard and they might say, find out what body type you are. So you fill out a bunch of questions, you get a report saying what body type you are and how to reach your summer body by summer. And then they get your information. And then if they can help you reach that, then they'll probably call you and try to sell you their personal training. So it works really well for coaching, consulting, authors, online entrepreneurs, service providers. And we have 6,000 clients using it right now all around the world.
And I also know that Scorecard Marketing uses a lot of AI. And I know Dan is also a big fan of using AI in the ScoreApp as well. Can you share a little bit more about how AI is used in ScoreApp and in Scorecard Marketing?
Yeah. So the hardest part about setting up any type of marketing funnel is there's 2 parts. There's the concept, like what journey are you taking your clients through? Who's your ideal client? What journey are you taking them through? And the second part is a copywriting, like what actual words are on the sales letter, the emails, everything, like every single word matters. So when you set up an account with ScoreApp, you could set it up using a free account, paid account, it doesn't matter. the AI wizard will prompt you to answer some questions. And then in a few minutes, it'll spit out and write your concepts and your copywriting, all of it in 2-3 minutes. That will save you 6 to 7 hours of copywriting. So it does 95% of the heavy lifting for you, which is incredible. It's like the difference between using a calculator or an abacus. Yeah.
So does the AI actually come up with your questions as well? If you give, let's say if I'm going to do a little bit of a quiz with you a little bit as well. So we've got, so our audience is typically service-based business owners, appointment-based business owners. So is it okay if we do a quick quiz in the sense, because I want to show everybody how powerful Scorecard Marketing is, ScoreApp is, because I feel the potential is huge, and in Singapore there are not enough people embracing it as well, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on board as well. Could we do a quick, like a quiz kind of thing, where if I give you an example of an industry and you could share how or what would the title of the Scorecard Marketing be in that industry?
Yeah.
And one of the most biggest markets here in Singapore is in the insurance industry. So how do you feel that an insurance agent can use Scorecard Marketing?
Okay, well, what type of insurance? That's important.
Life insurance.
Life insurance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you that again, because that itself is going to be a very important part. Like you said, I mean, my bad, I didn't clarify the different types of insurance. How do you feel that somebody in the life insurance industry can use Scorecard Marketing?
Yeah, so they could create a scorecard that might be called something like find out what your life insurance might not be covering, right? So everyone, I doubt everyone could understand their life insurance policy more accurately, because I don't think that everyone reads every single word, understands every single word in a life insurance policy. So for example, it could give an example that, did you know that 25% of life insurance claimers don't have the cover that they think that they're paying for? Find out if you're in that 25%. So it could be something like that, right? So really, really details in on a specific pain point, and the scorecard will ask you questions that will then pull out, what your cover should and shouldn't cover, and then the report will then give you a report to go bring back to your life insurance agent to make sure that you have the cover that you want or that you think that you need. Yeah.
How would you say that someone who is a retirement planning specialist, so how would a retirement planning specialist use Scorecard Marketing to get more leads for their business?
A retirement planning specialist. So the title of that scorecard could be something like find out when is your soonest retirement date, or how quickly you could retire by answering these 10 questions. And everyone wants to know that, like based on my income, my savings, my CPF, everything, I'm expected to retire based on my lifestyle spend on my goals. My budget will let me retire at 75, maybe 55, so I think everyone wants to know that when you start getting to that age. Like, find out if you have enough to retire in the lifestyle that you want. That's probably a more powerful hook to have in there. And
the best part is if you put that into the ScoreApp, the AI will be able to create the questions and curate and help you out with the questions as well, right?
Yeah. So the AI wizard does all of that. It does 95% of the heavy lifting, and then you just go in as an editor and then polish it up.
Would you have an example of in the real estate industry? Because again, insurance, real estate, another big industry here in Singapore as well, which is always, real estate prices are always going up because of how small the country is. So how do you feel that a real estate agent can use Scorecard Marketing in their business to get more leads?
How could they use it to get more leads? Maybe they could have a scorecard that says something like, I don't know the Singapore real estate market well enough to comment specifically, but let's say that they, there's a big portion of owners and also investors. So maybe it could be something like, find out how quickly you could grow your wealth with Singaporean real estate if they want to target more investing clients. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of different variety, a lot of different places where the whole Scorecard Marketing can go into. How did you, when you took up this role as the CRO, the Chief Revenue Officer, right? What was your thought process like? What made you want to pick up this role?
Yeah. So, on my angel investment, I've already made 770% on paper, but that's real value because we're a real generating business. We do about 4.7 million a year in revenue, USD. And I just want to see it get to the next level. So the next level is we double to about 12,000 subscribers, and then we look and see what next level partnerships we could take from there.
And what are when you said, so currently there are 6,000 members, right? Or 6,000 subscribers to ScoreApp. What are the different tiers that are available in ScoreApp, or is it just a one-time payment?
Yeah, so there's 3 paid tiers. There's free, about $50 a month, about $100, and about $150. Yeah.
This is in US dollars.
Sing dollars.
Sing dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even at the highest plan at 150 Sing dollars, somebody can go in and then they can have like unlimited ScoreApps or unlimited scorecards.
Yeah, so they can have 30 scorecards at the highest tier. Yeah.
Okay. And when you say that, you want to, from the 6,000 that there, would you have any data on how many are there in Asia or Singapore specifically? Or would you have any examples of that?
I don't know the exact numbers, but if I had to take a guess, it'd be something like, 70% Europe, 30% the rest of the world.
Okay.
Not a lot's in Asia Pacific. That's why I'm mainly focusing on this market, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, even Indonesia, Japan, that type of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that in terms of the fact that it's 70% Europe, is it just due to the fact that Daniel is based over there and a lot of time the attention went there, or was it more of a strategic thing where Asia is always a little bit far behind when it comes to picking up trends, marketing trends anyway?
No, I don't think necessarily Asia's far behind, because if something makes money in your business, then you're going to try it, right? Yeah. I just think that, there's a concentration because all the teams are in London. So the teams are in London, all the speaking on stages have been in London for 4 years, and that's just been compounding, right? And then also all of the online webinars are done within that London time zone. So then everyone just concentrated within that time zone. Yeah. So what I bring is basically I help the business unlock a new time zone.
And I know you were planning for more webinars coming up as well.
Yeah. So we had these books at Dreamfest, which is one of Australia's largest entrepreneurial weekends. Some people paid like $400 for a ticket to this event. So it's a serious event. And there's 450 people there, and we had 300 books. We said, the VIPs get a book automatically, and everyone else has to go to the back of the room to collect them, and they were snapped up like that. So that was last weekend. We have another one next month on the 25th of October as well, which has like 1,000 people there. So this product and its service really sells itself. It's just about me distributing it and putting it in front of the right people.
And I mean, I want to bring this to the bigger audience in Singapore as well. But I want to talk a little bit about, the book is small. The book seems like a very good read. What can an entrepreneur expect after reading this book?
Yeah, so a typical lead magnet, so a typical marketing funnel where you put something online and you want people to engage with you, will convert at like 10 to 15%. This one converts at about 40%, sometimes even 80%, like we've seen, but that's very exceptional. So let's say 40%. So if you want more leads in your business, more sales, and more importantly, more data on your leads and sales in your business, then there's not many tools in the market that can do everything that ScoreApp can do.
So I do see the way that Scorecard can be used, when for Facebook ads and YouTube ads and stuff like that. But maybe you could share a little bit, Max, on the journey after that. So now that I've got a lead that has filled up my scorecard already, so how does that help me as a business owner, or what should I do as a business owner now that I have this data? What should be the next steps for me as a business owner?
Yeah, so it's, the data is shared 2 ways. So let's say you're an agency like yours, right? Where you help people to generate more authority, generate more trust, more know, like, and trust factor with their audience. You might have a scorecard saying, find out your know, like, and trust score in Singapore. And it might have a rating of 0 to 100. And, people might get 23%, 78%, whatever that percentage is. Then you will have a very, very warm foot in the door to call that person and say, hey, Mr. Customer, I saw that you filled out the scorecard and I saw that you scored 23% out of 100% score in terms of, like a trust factor in Singapore. How would you like to know 3 things that could help you get to closer to 100%? So what do you think Mr. Customer is going to say?
Of course.
Yes, please, right? Okay, cool. So here's 1, 2, and 3. And just so you know, I could help you to accelerate these if you like. And my prices range from here to here. Would you like to learn more? And they'll say yes or no. But that interaction there is so much more powerful, and it's like it's solving a problem for them that they've identified. So what this does is that it identifies problems in your client's life that you can solve, and it puts it on paper in a measurable way so that you could then speak to that and then say, look, these are the results. Do you want to talk about changing them? Yes, no, maybe now or later. It's up to you, but just so you know, I can help you.
Makes sense. I mean, I can see how it builds trust as well with each individual lead, because now you're no longer seen as a stranger. Now you've come in and you've helped them. And I think I shared with you a little bit about the trust funnel that I created as well. So there are 5 elements to the trust funnel that I created. The first one is, so essentially is TRUST, T being testimonial videos, which I feel are very important because that shows the proof of concept. R is having a referral system, because if you're doing a good job, and a lot of people have a passive referral system, but I feel that people should be doing a little bit of a better job with the active referral system. The U stands for the unique story and superpower. That's how the podcast comes into the picture as well. S stands for social media branding and social media ads as well.
Yeah, profiling.
And then the last T stands for, Dan has this book called 24 Assets as well. So the last T was inspired by him, which is tangible business and marketing assets. So that's how I came up with the TR.
Yeah, nice. I like that. That's
inside
cool.
there.
You should write a book about that.
I was in the midst. midst of it. I know that. Talking about book, I know Dan also launched the Genie books as well. That's a new product that they've got in their universe as well. But how important is trust? I mean, I feel that trust is something which is, I feel the marketplace is a bit different nowadays. It's harder and harder to gain trust from somebody. How important though do you feel that how important is trust in entrepreneurship, or how important is trust in any business relationship?
Yeah, good question. So I don't think that it's harder to gain trust. I think that it's harder to hold someone's attention for long enough to gain trust. Like, trust is gained through the same steps, which is I spend time with you, you don't lie to me, and you tell me the truth, and then I'll start to trust you, right? Or I find what you do very useful, then I'll start to trust you. But what's getting harder and harder is it's getting harder to hold someone's attention for the right place at the right time. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yeah, of course.
So, and there's different pockets.
Because time is of essence, right?
Well, attention is the most expensive currency in the world right now, especially in the online marketing world. Like everyone puts out great content, and all the answers to all your business problems are in a library. They're literally in there, but you will never go and find them and read them, because the library with all those books or podcasts or whatever cannot hold your attention for long enough. So where is your attention going? Your attention is going to things that you care about, talking to your friends, social media, scrolling, just, doing things that aren't productive. So it's about capturing and holding someone's attention in a very, very powerful and meaningful way. One example is exactly what we're doing now. Like podcasting. Not most people don't know this, but podcasting is so underrated for holding attention. Like the fact that someone could be watching this and listening to this in their own time today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, and still getting the same essence as if they're sitting in the room here with us. That's really powerful. This 1 hour of podcast could hold and deliver 10,000 hours of attention and trust building, right? And not just that. So the average person that listens to a podcast listens to 7 hours a week, right? Like I know people that don't even spend 7 hours a week with their husband or wife, right? So, but people will listen to strangers on a podcast, undivided attention at the gym, driving, on the bus, on the train, going to work, going home from work, at least 1 hour a day per week. And that is really, really powerful. So, for example, the service that you're providing, how you help people to create more authority and hold more attention so that they could build trust over time, that is worth a lot of money.
And I think that's great that you mentioned, especially that 1 hour can hold 10,000 hours. So how do you feel that why do you feel, or why, maybe not how, but why do you feel that more business owners should be coming on podcasts?
Well, it's super simple. So think about it like this, right? You're a business owner, you get a warm referral, and someone says, you're an insurance agent or you're a real estate agent or whatever, or any type of a business owner or agent. You get a warm referral. Hey, look, I want you to talk to Mr. Customer. Mr. Customer is very interested in buying your house, so insurance or whatever you have to offer. He wants to go for a coffee. Every single business owner is going to say yes to that because they're going to say, yeah, warm referral, coffee, great. How much does a coffee achieve? It's 90 minutes of travel there and back. You got to pay for the coffee. That costs however much it costs, 10, 20 Sing dollars, right? You might end up paying for lunch. It could cost more. And that's only one potential client that you're talking to. When instead, I would much rather jump on a podcast with you, spend 1 hour recording this once, and then have it be distributed to 1,000 business owners for them to then spend time with me in their own time so that I'm not buying, 500 coffees for people, which I would have done before. So that's the power of leverage. And that's what podcasting and authority and everything that, business owners could use more of. And if you ask any business owner, look, have you ever bought a service from someone? Yeah, cool. Why did you buy it? Oh, I read their book, or I listened to their podcast, or I saw them at a conference or whatever. So they gave their attention to them enough to build trust in their own time. And then they just happen to buy, how long does it take to buy? 5 seconds.
Makes sense. I mean, I think you're going to really love the end products that we have over at when the podcast is finished, because if you like what I shared with you for the GrowCast show, again, because I'm inspired by Dan's philosophy quite a bit. One thing that Dan always says is, don't be the spotlight. Don't take the spotlight. You shine the spotlight on someone else. So that's the philosophy behind the GrowCast show as well. So most podcast hosts, when they start a podcast, their intention is to make themselves look good, make themselves be the brand, and have the spotlight on them. So on my end, I was a bit on the reverse side. I thought, what if I could put the spotlight 100% on the guest? So whenever the guest is there,
yeah, that's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, so that's why the attention is very important. I think the results that we've gotten in the GrowCast show is amazing as well. And I think we are right about nearing the end of what we have. I do have one last question for yourself, because you did mention about know, like, and trust. And I think this might not be the easiest question to answer, but which is the most important in your hierarchy? Know, like, or trust?
Well, I think there's steps 1, 2, and 3, right? So first you know someone, then you have to like them, then you trust them. So steps 1, 2, and 3. I think the most important thing is that if it's like a funnel, steps 1, 2, and 3 as it goes down the funnel. If people aren't going at the top, then people aren't getting to the bottom, right? So you got to keep putting yourself out there. So you keep knowing and knowing and knowing and knowing and knowing and knowing more people. And, every single business owner that's ever gotten a referral, they did this, but they didn't know that they were doing it. They did it when they were 10 years old in school with that client, when they were in university, when they were in that last job with that person. But imagine if you actually brought some intentionality to developing more people going through this funnel, so that more people go from know to like to trust.
Makes perfect sense, yeah. Step 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And is there anything else, Max, that you feel I should have asked you but didn't ask you that could make this conversation, that would wrap it up?
No, I would say, you mentioned at the beginning that, marketing, digital marketing, or things, in Singapore and Asia move slower than they do in Europe or America. That may or may not be true. But if it is true, then I would see a place like Singapore or Indonesia or wherever else as a huge opportunity, because you could just literally it's almost like, let's say Southeast Asia catches on to marketing strategies slower. That means that, call it America, they're catching on faster, which means that they're in the future, which means that we could predict our future by executing and taking advantage of what other countries are doing right now, instead of waiting for it to catch on. Like you take advantage of the advanced technology whilst you still have it. So I think that's a huge opportunity for Asia.
I totally agree with you. And where can someone find out more about you? Where can someone find out more about ScoreApp? And if they want to get a copy of the Scorecard Marketing book, how can they get it? How can they get their hands on it?
Yeah, so there's 2 options. If you're based in Singapore, see this guy here, see Vicky, and he can get you one of these if you're a business owner. But if not, we have some more copies, physical where possible, if not PDF, at ScoreApp, ScoreApp.com/book. So ScoreApp.com/book. And to find me, I'm on LinkedIn. I post every week pretty much. So my name's Maxwell Nee. If you message me or connect with me, you'll find me there.
Very nice. I'm going to link all the show notes inside the different platforms that we have as well. And I signed up for the partner level for the ScoreApp as well. So I'm definitely going to be bringing it to the audience that I have, the entrepreneurs that I have. And thank you so much, Max, for your time today. It was an enlightening conversation. I hope it was fruitful and meaningful for you as well, as much as it was for me.
Yeah, perfect. Me too. Thank you.
Very nice. And that was episode 59 of the GrowCast show. Something different that we did today, not the usual stuff. That's why I had Maxwell Nee. He is the Chief Revenue Officer of ScoreApp. And if you haven't gotten yourself a copy of the book, you know where to get yourself a copy of the book. I'm going to put the link down below, or just drop me a message on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you know you can find me, and I'll send you a copy as well. And I'll see you real soon for episode number 60. And we are hitting real close to the milestone episode that I have, episode number 100, which I'm very excited about. So I'll see all of you real soon as well. Cheers, take care, and bye-bye. Thank you, Max.